Hi, and thank you for joining me for what yet is another edition of Rabbi Stein's PPE, our Parsha and prayer experience. This week's Parsha is named Acharei Mos, or Acharei Mos. And it talks about, at least the beginning talks about, after the death of two of the sons of Aaron a Cohen. We know that Aaron has four sons, two of which died a few Parshiot ago, in what was they brought a strange fire, or they were maybe intoxicated, or not of sound mind when they brought their sacrifices or offerings in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Holy of Holies. And there's two real points that I want to kind of discuss. One is the very, very famous juxtaposition of the two parshas. They usually are a double connected parsha. Acharei Mos followed by Kedoshim Tihiyu. And the commonality or the common lesson here is after the death, after the sin, after the downfall or failure, we hit the level of Kedoshim Tihiyu. Now you should be holy. As if we learn from our failures. So there's a very, very famous drasha, a very, very famous word that through the failures of other people, through the experiences, as I should say, of other people, we can grow. We can learn from their mistakes. We can learn not to err in the same ways that they've erred before. But yet there's another idea that I want to expand upon this week. And that is looking at the community. You see, the people of Israel, we're not known as the persons of Israel. We're not known as Ha-Israelim, that would be the Israelis, but we're known as Am Israel, or Bnei Israel, or Klal Israel. We're a unified collective persona. And the Parsha talks about one of the very fundamental days in our calendar, which is Yom Kippur. And it talks about the avoda of the Yom Kippur, and it highlights really the avoda of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. He's the only one who can do half of the mitzvahs that are pertaining to the laws of Yom Kippur alone. But he doesn't do it for himself. No. He does it as the shaliach. He does it as a representative for the entire people of Israel. For the entire community, the collective body. What kind of responsibility, the mass responsibility and achrayut that falls on his shoulders. He does it because he's a community leader. He does it because he's giving and devoting his life to serving the Kahal. Many people can choose how they want to live their lives. They can choose to pursue a path of business, of medicine, psychology, education, whatever it may be. But we can't neglect that of our community. This week we focus on Yom HaShoah, the collective pain that the Jewish people suffered during the years of World War II and the Shoah and the Holocaust were tremendous. And yet we still feel the ramifications, the repercussions from what happened back in those generations today. Because we're part of our community. It's part of who we are. And we must never forget that. We should always remember the following words. Am Yisrael Chai. The Jewish nation lives and the Jewish nation will continue to live. How so? As long as we always focus on our community. We just don't think about ourselves, but we think about the greater people, the greater good of Am Yisrael. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.